Ring pours are a little bit more challenging than a lot of people think. This one for me was a tough painting, but I'm going to guide you step by step through my creative process and how I did this painting. So I mixed 7 different colors because my split cup has 7 different slots. Now the first about 4 to 5 times that I pour, I'm going to use all 7 colors in the split cup. And the reason that I'm doing this is because I want to see which colors are going to hide and which ones are going to come up. That way later on, I can say, all right, I want to add a little bit more of one color, take a little bit out of another color. Okay, so I'm probably going to do this. I'm watching the video as I'm filming. I like to start my way from the outside and work towards the center. Okay, now so far into this painting, this does not give me an idea of the composition because everything that you see right now in the center is going to end up outside of the composition. So I'm practically using this to experiment and as a base paint, okay? But I do like to start my way on the outside and work towards the center. And then when I'm done with the center, as you see here, I like to go out. I want to break the composition up a little bit with some lines going across the lines. Okay, so and again, I'm filling this cup with all 7 colors. Now I want to say that I mixed probably about 20 ounces of paint to do this painting. It's a large ass canvas, 30 by 30 inches. And I think this is probably one of my favorite techniques. And there I am just in the center. I worked my way in and I'm going back out. Okay, and I think this might be the final time that I use all 7 colors in my cup. And right now I'm starting to get an idea of which colors are disappearing. Okay, so what I'm seeing here is that my black that I'm using is actually slowly going through all the other colors. And the reason for that is that the black is probably more dense than the rest of the paints. Okay, so right there, you see the first 2 slots, I filled it with black, okay? And then I'm moving forward with all the other colors. Okay, now let's see right now if I can get a little bit more of the black to show up. I like the black because it gives a lot of contrast to the rest of the colors, giving it that striking look at the end. As you can see, yeah, it looks to me as if the black stood out more because I used the black in 2 slots. Okay, and now I'm starting to get an idea like everything in the center is going to end up on the outskirts of the painting. Okay, I do want to say that I mix my paints to a thicker consistency for this technique, which the recipe as well as the specific colors that I used are in the description of this video. And again, working my way outside and going in. I love how the way I do this just breaks up all the other colors. I have lines within lines, and I know that those are all going to spread at the end of the final composition. And again, I'm working my way out nice and slow. I do want to say I have this video sped up at certain times because just like me, most people have a very short attention span, and I want to keep your attention. Okay, so now all that black that you see me pouring on the outside of this painting, I'm using this to spread the composition out, okay? This is gonna help the colors in the center flow out more smoothly. This is not a technique that you don't want to have enough paint for because then it's going to spread too thin and the colors will turn out, I don't want to say muddy, but when it dries, it's not going to be as vibrant if you spread the paint too thin across the canvas. I think I mentioned this was about 20 ounces of paint that I used to do this painting. Okay. All right, and I think the time has now come to tilt. I also want to say using the heat gun, you just breeze over it, pop the bubbles. I did this several times throughout the video. Okay, so now when spreading, okay, you want to make sure that you go nice and slow. Okay, so first thing I'm doing, I'm not going to tilt off just yet. My goal is to cover as much of the entire canvas that I can without tilting paint off. Okay, and what I like to do for the most part, I like to go corner and then center, corner, center, corner, center. And I think one of my favorite parts, this is my favorite part because this is where a lot of those colors underneath start to show. And you really do get to see the vibrancy of this painting. It is so cool. This is like the reward for all the work that you did, all the prep work you did, prepping the canvas, mixing the paints, which took forever, and choosing the right colors, and also experimenting with the different densities. So as you can see there, towards the center is where I poured the extra black, and it shows a little bit more, breaking up a lot of the other colors. And the bluish green that you see is actually a color shifting paint by Folk Art. And that one shifts between blue and green depending at what angle you're looking at the canvas. Okay, and as you can see right there, my center has gone towards the side. Okay, and I tilted my first corner off just a little bit. And seeing the amount of paint that's on the surface, it's actually not that bad compared to a lot of other paintings that I've done. And at this point, you could tell whether you're going to really like the painting or not, for the most part. Okay, I got the contrast that I was looking for. Okay, because the black and that pearlescent white that I used, pearlized white that I used are really standing out. Now I want to make sure that I keep the center because it gives this painting a good focal point. This is a part that's going to draw people in when they look at it. All right, now I'm just sitting there and I'm thinking, okay, always take a moment to think when you have your canvas. Don't rush to spread it out. You have plenty of time before it dries to make decisions. Okay, and I'm also, on another note, I'm not going to worry about touching up every corner just yet. I could have done that in the beginning with paint, but that's not the way I like to do it. I touch up the corners by using paint that ended up on the surface underneath that corner because chances are it's going to match the corner with the rest of the paint. Okay, and another note, you also want to always make sure you have just a little bit of paint left in every cup because having that paint left is going to allow you a lot more flexibility to do touch-ups in your painting. Okay, almost there with the final composition. Okay, I still want to get that center to go to the center. This reminds me of Ocean Spray, like that Ocean Spray commercial. I think that was like back in the 90s. And here's the finished result. I gotta say this is probably one of my top favorites. And I also wanted to say it's always great to use black and white when you're looking for a really good contrast or if you're trying to bring out the vibrancies of the colors. And that's why one of the reasons that I think that this painting was, for me, successful. I love the focal point, and I love how solid all the lines are, and I love how every color just stands out. To me, this is very striking. So if you have any questions, comments, feedback, or insults, please don't hesitate to leave it in the comments section. Until next time, bye.